Shalom, shalom, Mr. Card.
Shalom, shalom.
Welcome again. We have another class that we'll be doing tonight, which is going to be a little bit different from the ordinary. We usually do classes on Saturday, but tonight we're going to be doing it on a Wednesday, but it is still a set-apart gathering, so we're going to make sure that we pay full and close attention to everything that's going on, and prayerfully we can all come into one accord, understanding the Father's Torah, and we can move forward from there. But what we're going to do now, we're going to have our chief elder, all right, Zakane, Gabar Yahuah. He's going to blow the shofar for us 7 times, and we'll have our Moreh to bring us in with prayer, and we'll go ahead and get the class started for tonight. All right, 7 times.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, set apart be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we're going to send them to say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. McCall, we're going to go ahead with tonight's service. We're going to be reading a nice little list of scriptures that Zabud has put together. We're going to be reading the New Covenant, or the Renewed Covenant, the book of Neyhemyah, the 31st chapter, verses 31 to 33. We'll have Solomon to please read that.
Behold, the days come, say Yahuah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and the house of Yahuah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, say Yahuah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al. After those days, say Yahuah, will I put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So we can get James to read, we'll be at Haran's blessing. Is that how?
No, we go down to 10 Commandments.
Okay, so 10 Commandments, all right. So this McCall, we're going to be reading the Ketubah, all the things that we agreed to do in the name of the Father through his Son, Yahushua Mashiach. And this is what actually brings us his covenant relationship with the Father when we uphold the Ketubah. So we're going to be reading together Exodus, the 20th chapter, verses, actually this is 1 through 10, or items 1 through 10. And we'll begin, all right? And Yahuah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuah thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Israel, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee a graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So everybody must abide by the ketubah. Everybody read it out loud. So everybody must be in agreement.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Nobody was forced. So we should all be Tomio. Okay, Mr. Carr, before we get started, as always, we want to make sure that we give all esteem to the Father of Yahuah for all the great things that he has done for our people. We want to especially give thanks to the Father for his mercy, his love, and his everlasting kindness that he has showed his people, the 12 tribes of Israel.
Hallelujah.
Very, very important. The Father's love, his everlasting kindness for his people, again, the 12 tribes of Yashra'al. Now, we're going to look for some scriptures to support the Father of Yahuah, his majestic divinity, and his love for the nation of Yashra'al. And the first thing that we want to do is that we want to go to the book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, the 10th chapter. So we're going to talk real briefly about the divinity of Mashiyach and his love for the nation of Yashra'al, so that there's no problemos. Okay, I'm going to be reading from the Greek Septuagint. It says, "And Yahuah said to me, go, set out before this people, which is the nation of Yashra'al, and let them go in and inherit the land." So who is actually going into, excuse me, on the book of Devarim, I'm starting at the 11th verse.
11th verse. Okay.
Yeah, yes, the 10th chapter, I'm starting at verse 11.
Okay, cool.
"And the sovereign said unto me, go," which is Moses, "go, set out before this people, which is the nation of Yashra'al, and let them go in the land and inherit the land." So who's actually inheriting the land? The land belongs to the nation of Yashra'al. Hallelujah. "Which I, the Father, swore to their fathers, possesseth now their fathers, to give to them, which is the nation of Yashra'al. And now, Israel, what does thy Elohim, thy mighty one, thy husband, require of you? But to fear Yahuah thy Elohim, and to walk in all of his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahuah thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul." Verse 13, "To keep the commandments of the Father of Yahuah, and his ordinances, all that I charge thee today, that it may be well with you." Verse 14 is very important. It says, "Behold, the heaven and the heavens," read it again, "Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, belong to the sovereign, thy Elohim, the earth and all things that are in it. Only the Father chose your fathers to love them, and he chose out their seed after them, even you beyond all nations as at this day." Everybody understands what's going on in verses 11 through 15. We all told. Okay, so then what is going on with verse 14? We have, "Behold, behold the heaven and the heaven of heavens, belonging to the sovereign thy Elohim, the earth and all things that are in it." Verse 14 complements verse 15. When it says, "Behold the heaven," singular, "and the heaven of heavens," all right, "belong to the sovereign thy Elohim." What does it mean when the Father begins to talk about a heaven, and then he talks about a heaven of heavens, and that he is actually now the supreme divinity ruler of all these heavens? Okay. What we have here now is that when we begin to see the word heaven, we're talking about a lot of times the heavenly host. We might see the stars, the moon, and the gas balls, all this stuff here. But what we're here to share here now, that these heavens here now are talking about, these are mighty ones. There are other mighty ones outside of the Father Yahuah. But Yahuah is now actually now the governing body over all of the mighty ones. Every last one of them. Now when you read verse 15 in Hebrew, which is going to be very, very important, it says, it can be read this way: Yahuah, your Elohim, only chose your fathers to love them. So now, when we read it again now, Yahuah chose our fathers, only our fathers, fathers to love them, and he chose out their seed after them beyond all nations as it is this day. Now, to complement that, we're going to go to we're going to hold off there for a minute. When we look at the word heaven, and the Father is the heaven, behold the heavens and the heavens of the heavens, we know there's 4 ways of looking at the scriptures. We have the Peshat level, we have the Remez, the Drash, and the Sod level. What I'm trying to do here is to make sure that everybody understands the importance now of what the Father is actually doing here. There are other mighty ones, but these other mighty ones now are actually now in subjection to the Father of Yahuah. We're going to show this here in Scripture. We're going to look at the book of Psalms 148 and 4. Psalms 148 and 4. Let's see who wants to be the lucky contestant. Let's try our good brother Solomon. Let me run with you. Let me pick it up here. Psalms 148. Make sure that everything here is with clarity, because what we're trying to show here also is that the Father's divinity is above everything else. Read on.
Starting from verse 1?
4, please.
Verse 4. Okay. Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that be above the heavens.
Right, so when we look at the literal sun, the stars, and the moon, can they actually praise, give thanks to the Father? They follow the commandments that the Father has set forth from the very beginning, giving them their courses. But when we begin to talk about the luminaries, there's a second level of understanding on what these luminaries are. These stars here are actually talking about messengers of Yahuah. And so when we begin to talk about let them praise the name of Yahuah, for he commanded and they were created. Let's go on a little bit more with this. The book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, verse 8. We're going to show here that these luminaries, and that the Father chose the nation of Yashra'al, and that is the only Elohim that we should be worshiping, giving all thanks and honor to. This is Devarim 32, verse 8. No, let's do it this way. Shalak, if you can read that for me, 32 and 8.
Okay. Devarim chapter 32, verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the Melachim of Elohim.
Absolutely. So now we see now what's actually going on when we begin to read it now in the Masoretic, in the Greek Septuagint versus the Masoretic text. Because the Masoretic text has Devarim 32 and 8 read this way: when Elohim divided to the nations their inheritance. Again, when Elohim divided to the nations, the other nations now, when he divided to the nations their inheritance, every single nation has their inheritance. Okay, because there was times when Israel was leaving, Egypt, Israel was told not to go into the land or try to conquer the Edomites, because that land was given to them. That is their inheritance. All nations have their inheritance. When Elohim divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Yashra'al. That's what it says in the Masoretic text. But exactly how we have Shalak has read it, and the Greek Septuagint has when the Most High divided the nations. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the messengers of Elohim. The messengers of Elohim. So just to try to show with everybody that there are other Elohims, and the only mighty Elohim, who is we talk the heaven of heavens, and all these things bow down to him. We're all referring to now not literally the sun, the moon, and the stars, but these are messengers. And everybody, these all were given their inheritance. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. Deuteronomy 7 and 7. Deuteronomy 7 and 7, and we want to start with the 7th 27 and 7, and read down to the 8th verse. And we're going to go with my good brother Yahuah. We're going to get him swinging. He just came through the door.
Break him in.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 7:7.
Yeah, nice and loud.
It was not because ye are more numerous than all other nations that Yahuah preferred you, and Yahuah made choice of you, for ye are fewer in number than all other nations. But because Yahuah loves you and has kept the oath which he swore to your fathers, Yahuah brought you out with a strong hand, and Yahuah redeemed you from the house of bondage, out of the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Hallelujah. Now watch this now. The Father did not set his love upon the nation of Yashra'al, nor choose the nation of Yashra'al, because we were more in number than any people, for we were the fewest of all people. But because the Father loved us, and because he would keep the oath, that's very important, keeping the oath which he has sworn into our fathers. So now we have a situation where all of us here tonight just read the Ketubah. All of us read it. So that is a promise and an oath that we made to the Father. So here we have now, in verse 8, is that the Father is now keeping his oath, his promise that he made with our forefathers, and Yahuah brought us out with a mighty hand and redeemed. That word redeemed is very important because only a blood kinsman can redeem us out of bondage, even as it is to this day. So the voting system, political system, anything outside of what the scriptures is telling us is just not going to work. It is not. They would have to come first and foremost, forefront with Torah. And this person now would have to be a blood kinsman in order for this redemption to take place. So we see a lot of prophetic shadow pictures even in the book of Deuteronomy. And so after this Redeemer has redeemed us out of the house of bondage and from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so we know that this has already taken place. Okay, so I just wanted to share with everybody some the love of the Father, his divinity, how the Father now has sole dominion over every single thing, over all of the messengers, over all of the people of the earth, all of the land, over every single thing. All respect and honor is due to the Father. And this omnipotent divinity, Yahuah, who sent his son, Yahusha HaMashiach, chose the nation of Yashra'al, so we must make sure that we understand that we have a responsibility. And being that we didn't uphold our end of the bargain, we're going to find ourselves in a whole lot of trouble as we are finding out today. And we're going to go into that a little bit more. Question. Is the Mashiach, according to what we have here on the board, is the Mashiach returning during Pesach to redeem Israel? 2019. Everybody's been talking about this whole thing with the 400th year, and that 2019 is very important. So there's tons of material now on YouTube and Facebook that the time is up. 2019, tell your bosses and everybody else, listen, you know what, take this job and shove it, and it's time to go. 2019 is it. Max out your credit cards, and it's time to go. Anybody's been saying, I mean, a lot of stuff that's going on Facebook and YouTube, that the 400 years is up, it's time to, start packing your bags and head on over there to Israel.
Been there, done that.
Absolutely. Okay, let's do some stuff here real quick. This whole thing with 2019. There's been a lot of teachings on the 400 years, where when I first began to hear about the end of times coming into the walk, so I can actually testify to this. We was teaching that there were 4 major dates when our people began to come over here in cargo slave ships. One of the dates that they were using was 1503, and what we were just simply doing was adding 400 years to that. And we came up with 1903. We said in 1903 we should have come out of captivity, but what happened is that when you go to Ezekiel the 35th chapter, it talks about how the Edomites actually forward the captivity of the nation of Yashra'al. So that didn't happen. It was, nothing happened then. Then we had 1517, which they say is another major date that, or when slaves started to come over here to the shores of America. They used that calculation and we came up with 1917. So 1903, we're still here. 1917, nothing happened and we're still here. Then we came up with, the other date was 1611. This was based upon the 1611 King James Version Bible. And we have 2011. Nothing happened in 2011. King James is a Negro. The father gave him our records and told him to hold it until we came out of captivity. Those were some of the teachings that we got.
Yep.
And then we had 1619, excuse me. 1619, you have 400 years to that. And this is pretty much where everybody is looking at here now, 2019. It said 2019,